10th Sangguniang Panlalawigan in motion. 10th Sangguniang Panlalawigan in motion. Sangguniang Panlalawigan in motion. Sangguniang Panlalawigan in motion. Sangguniang Panlalawigan in motion. Sangguniang Panlalawigan in motion.
And also attached to the said request are the Memorandum of Agreement, the letter from Attorney Jose Rixan G. Tormon, the Provincial Legal Officer, and the letter from Architect Anton Geoffrey V. Co., Dean of the College of Technology, University of San Agustin. The request of our local chief executive is for him to sign for a memorandum of agreement with the University of San Agustin for the internship program of the students coming from the architecture department. The training program would be for 3,840 hours, and what is stipulated in the memorandum of agreement are the responsibilities of the three parties, namely the host training establishment, the university, and the student, who are that is well been stipulated here in the memorandum of agreement. The intern is Miss Angel Grace B. Villavicencio, a graduate of architecture and resides at Saldivar, Buena Vista, Guimaras. Though she's already a graduate of architectural course, the internship is a requirement to qualify her to take for the architectural board examination, Your Honor. So she still has to undergone the practicum or the internship program, which is for 3,840 hours. That would be it, Your Honor. This representation is now ready for question or clarification.
On the clarification for the presiding officer, on paragraph C, the non-liability clause, it reads, ladies and gentlemen, the host training establishment, meaning to say the provincial government, shall not be liable for any damage or injury that may cause by the student trainee arising out or in connection with the latter's fault, delay, or negligence. Meaning to say, the provincial government shall not be liable for any liability, for any damage or injury that shall be caused by the student trainee. Meaning to say, if the one who caused the injury is the student trainee, then the provincial government is not liable
Yes.
for damage or injury caused by the student. How about the damage or injury caused to the student trainee,
That is
arising out, God forbid, for whatever reasons, that the student trainee shall suffer any injury or damage by reason of her, say, act of reporting to the provincial government. Who is the hosting establishment also free from liability?
I think
Because I think the preposition used is by.
by.
How about the damage or injury suffered by or caused to the student trainee as a result of this agreement?
that has not been stipulated here in the contract. But Mr. Chair, there is the student and under the student trainee, on item number 5, in the
Mhm.
event that the host establishment requires the conduct of activities outside the university or premises, the student intern shall secure a waiver signed by the parent guardian
That is
declaring under the 8.3.
A.3. In the event that the host establishment requires the conduct of activities outside
outside
of the university.
outside of the university, the parent guardian declaring the university and the host training establishment free and harmless from the claims, liabilities, and demands of any kind and nature.
But in this case, it is the host establishment that requires the conduct of activities outside of the
Of
university.
just in case kung dalon siya sa department or
How
sa
about if
engineering.
the student trainee is just simply reporting at the host establishment
And an accident happens
and the
inside,
accident, God forbid, happens?
happens in
The
within
host
the vicinity
of the host
of the house
establishment.
establishment. Yeah, that would be a question, Mr. Chair, but that is not been stipulated in the contract.
I think on the non-liability clause, if it's all right, then we can suggest to the legal office
To
to
add
have this modified that the host training establishment shall not be liable for any damage or injury that may cause by or suffered
suffered
by the student that may cause or suffered by the student trainee arising out or in connection with the sport layering. Any further questions? The Honorable Araneta is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. The responsibilities of both parties, Mr. Presiding, on letter A.2, the university shall, on number 4, the universities provide the host training establishment with uh, a copy of current guidelines on the training program. So, Mr. Presiding Officer, I just want to clarify that what kind of a program that provide of the university that will not hamper the program also of the provincial government. As far as I know, the provincial government as the program, there is a regular program for the implementation of of the project, or so meaning if the university introduce the training program, so what will happen? The uh, the host training, maybe the operation is hamper on the part of the host training program, Mr. President Officer, because the introduce the new current training program, Mr. President Officer, as long as the uh, the provincial government will not hamper the operation, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Any comment, Madam Sponsor?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I think the student would be assigned where the expertise of her or her course. Like for this one, she'll be assigned at the engineering department, and the training or the program would still be followed. Whatever it will be in the activity being done in the engineering department. And I think this is also in compliance. Ang ila obra would be intertwined, or it's within part of the activities done in the engineering department.
Has, has this memorandum of agreement provided for somebody already who will
Yes,
be benefiting out of this MOA?
I think that since the student is here with us also, already been making the orientation with the Department of Engineering.
Although this is a general MOA,
MOA.
but for purposes of this MOA, the University of San Agustin has already identified
Yes,
somebody, although that somebody was not mentioned in the MOA, correct?
Yes,
Because
it's not,
this
but
is a
in
general
yes,
MOA.
but in the letter of architect Anton Vico, the training would be experience in the field of architecture, design, and
The
construction
apprentice,
industry.
the apprentice is Miss Angel Grace G. Villavicencio
Vicencio
from
from
Barangay
Saldivar Benefit.
Saldivar.
Yeah.
Is Miss Villavicencio around?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please stand. Good afternoon, ma'am. Welcome to the True Blue Guimarasnon. You're really a Guimarasnon from Barangay Saldivar. Thank you, ma'am. You may take your seat, ma'am. All right. What's the pleasure of the gentle lady?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I move to pass a resolution granting authority to Governor J.C. Raman A. Nava, MD, to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the University of San Agustin Incorporated, represented by architect Anton Geoffrey Vico, Dean, College of Technology, for the implementation of the student training program. So moved,
This
Mr.
will
Chair.
be in principle, Your Honor, Madam Sponsor,
Yes.
since one provision is yet to be clarified with the
But-
Provincial Legal Office.
Yes,
There's
Your
now a
Honor.
motion for the passage of a resolution authorizing the Honorable Governor to sign the MOA with the University of San Agustin Incorporated, represented by Architect Antoine Jeffrey V. Koo, Dean of the College of Technology, for the implementation of the student training program at the University of San Agustin in principle, subject to further validation and verification with the provisions of the MOA, more particularly on paragraph C on the non-liability clause as discussed. Is there any second to the motion? Seconded by all members have seconded. The motion is approved. Madam Floor Leader.
We are now on item number 5, letter dated August 17, 2023 from Governor J.C. Raman A. Nava, MD, requesting for the realignment of funds at the Provincial Health Office in the amount of 610,000 pesos, referred to the Committee on Appropriation.
Item numbers 5 is referred to the Chairperson Committee on Appropriations, the Honorable Dr. Alex Araneta. Thank you, Ms. Villavicencio.
Thank you, Mr.
Good luck.
Presiding Officer. The item number 5 is the request of the good governor for the urgent legislative action for the realignment of funds of the Provincial Health Office. Attached is the little request of the governor for the urgent legislative action for the realignment of funds of the Provincial Health Office from drugs and medicine, 200,000, to traveling expenses, 200,000, medical, dental, and laboratory supplies.
Your Honor, can we have, because this is already a summation, the amount to be, that is requested to be realigned is in the sum of 610,000.
Yes, Mr.
So we
President.
can probably start with the source of the realignment funds, its enumeration from drugs and medicines up to health advocacy and promotion, the total amount of 610,000, to traveling expenses up to other maintenance of operating expenses in the amount of 610,000 pesos. Because the total sum of all these items as a source of the realignment are summed up to meet the financial requirements on the items sought to be realigned or sought to be funded additionally through this realignment. Please proceed, Mr. Chair.
So, thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. The for the alignment of funds, the for the drugs and medicine, 200,000, to traveling expenses,
No,
200.
because can we have first the summation, Your Honor?
Yes, thank
From
you. From,
drugs, medicines, 200, medical, dental,
Yes,
and then let's proceed to the funds sought to be augmented.
Yes,
Please
thank you,
proceed, Your Honor.
from drugs and medicine, 200,000, medical, dental, and laboratory supplies, 100,000. Safe Motherhood Program is 20,000. Family Planning Program, 50,000. Prevention and Control of Emerging and Emerging Infectious Disease, 34,250. Prevention and Control of Vector-Borne Diseases, 27,500. The Pulmonary Tuberculosis Prevention and Control, 40,400. Lifestyle-related disease prevention and control, 66,250 pesos. Drugs and medicine, 41,600. Health emergency response, 10,000. Rabies prevention and control, 3,750 pesos. Smile Guimaras, 5,000. Operating of drinking water laboratory, 5,000. Health advocacy and promotion, 6,250 pesos with a total of 610,000 pesos. Two, traveling expenses, 200,000. Fuel, oil, and lubricant expenses, 100,000. 100,000 plus the 20,000. The water expenses is 50,000. The electricity expenses
40.
is 40,400. The and there's 41,600,
600.
Mr. President, then 10,000. Other maintenance and operating expenses, 3,750, 5,000, 5,000 pesos, 6,250 pesos. The total of 610,000, Mr. Presiding Officer.
The problem with the proposal, Your Honors, is that like for example, 610,000. For traveling expenses, it's 200,000. For fuel, oil, lubricants expenses, it must be 120,000.
Yes.
For water expenses, it would be 50,000. For electricity expenses, they just simply stated 34,000. So they let us sum up.
Yes.
They want us to sum up the amount. It should be electricity expenses. Give us the amount: 34 plus 27 plus 40,000 plus 66. So how much? Because if we do the appropriation of the record, if we do the appropriation ordinance, that this can no longer be reflected. What is reflected is the total sum.
Yes. Yes, thank you. But Mr. Presiding Officer, I was clarified this to the provincial budget office because
Their presentation is wrong. Why? Because the electricity expenses that we will augment in the sum of 34,250 plus 27,500 plus 40,400 plus 66,000 plus 41,600 plus 10. How much is the total of that?
yes.
So the total of this is the amount to be augmented under electricity expenses. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
Yes. Can I add this explanation, Mr. Presiding Officer?
Yes.
Because the source of fund from the although that the MOA, like for example the drugs and medicine, medical and dental laboratory, or safe motherhood program, like for example, Mr. Presiding Officer, this item is belongs to special appropriation program, Mr. Presiding Officer. So what they did, because this item, in every item, there is a source of fund, so ginbuhinan lang nila, Mr. Presiding Officer. So that's why gin-itemize ni
So
nila.
this is not under MOOE?
According to provincial budget officer, all of these are
Under MOOE?
under MOA.
Yeah, because when we realign, we will collate or we will sum up all the sources of realignment, and then the amount to be augmented, the item is reflected plus the amount to be augmented.
Yes.
So in this case, we cannot see clearly unless we will have the manual. Can we call the provincial budget
Yes.
office,
Yes, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Mr. Chair, so that we can be clarified? Because the amount to be augmented here, like for example, Mr. Chair, for electricity expenses, the amount to be amount to be realigned or augmented is 34,250 plus 27,500 plus
40,000.
40,400 plus 66,250 plus 41,600 plus 10,000 pesos. So how much? How much is the cost of that? How much is the total amount to be augmented to electricity expenses?
The same
Yes,
also.
we understand that this 34,250 came from prevention and control
Yes.
of emerging infectious diseases. We also understand that the 27,500 came from prevention and control of vector-borne disease. We also understand that the 40,400 came from pulmonary tuberculosis prevention and control. We also understand that the 66,250 come from lifestyle-related diseases. So what I am expecting is that when we reach the electricity expenses too, the total sum must only be
Yes.
reflected.
So with this regard, Mr. President, we defer this for the clarification of the
Yes,
provincial
Mr.
budget
Chair.
office. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We will, so that by the next time that Mr. Chair, they request for realignment, we will have now a single idea on this request, Mr. Chair. Item number 5 is deferred. Madam Floor Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Item number 6, letter dated 15th August 2023 from Maria Liane L. Gayumali, Acting Director, Department of Budget and Management, DBM, Region 6, on the review of Operation Ordinance number 2023-10 of the Province of Guimaras for fiscal year 2023, supplemental budget number 4 of the General Fund amounting to 6 million pesos referred to the committee.
This
For
is for the
information.
information. For the information is item number 6 that our supplemental budget number 4 amount of 6 million pesos was declared operative in its entirety. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, especially to the Chairperson Committee on Appropriations, the Honorable Dr. Alex Araneta. Madam Floor Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Presiding Officer. Item number 7, the first endorsement dated August 18, 2023, from Ms. May D. Gargalicana, Secretary to the Sanggunian, endorsing for review Ordinance number 09, Series of 2023 of the Municipality of Hordan entitled An Ordinance Classifying Lot Number 8452-A-6 with an area of 1,869 square meters owned by Carlos Hornadal, situated at Tamburong, Hordan, Guimaras, from agricultural to commercial land, referred to the Committee on Ordinances.
Referred to the Chairperson Committee on Ordinances, the Honorable Luben Vilches.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. The Chair gladly accept the referral of Ordinance Number 9, Series of 2023 of the Municipality of Hordan, entitled an Ordinance Reclassifying Lot Number 8452-A-6 with an area of 1,869 square meters owned by Carlos Natal, situated at Tamburong, Hordan, Guimaras, from agricultural to commercial. And Mr. Presiding Officer, I would
Mr.
like,
Chair, may I know where is this Tamburong Hordan?
with that, Mr. Presiding Officer, I would like to suggest, Mr. Presiding Officer, if we could include the former mayor of San
San
Lorenzo, and
Uh,
also the chair of the.
Is anybody
President.
adept of a place known as Tamburong Hordan? Can we solicit from the wisdom of the
Former mayor.
former mayor of the municipality of San Lorenzo, the Honorable Jimmy Gaho, if there is such a place in the province named as Tamburong Hordan, Guimaras.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. For 100%, I'm sure that Tamborong is belong to Municipality of San Lorenzo, Mr. Chairman.
So there's no such place as
There's no
Tamburong
such
Hordan.
place. Tamborong Hordan.
Thank you very much for your clarification, former mayor and Honorable Jimmy Gaho.
And the committee, Mr. Presiding Officer, would like to request the presence of the former mayor and the gentleman from San Lorenzo to
Attend.
be with us during this committee hearing.
Committee. And we also request, Mr. Chair, with your indulgence, the Chairperson Committee on Land Use, the Honorable Marilyn Eda,
Yes, Mr.
to
Presiding
this
Officer.
committee hearing.
She is also the vice chair of the
Vice
committee.
Chair of the Committee on
Committee on
Ordinances.
Ordinances.
with a manifestation of the competent and able chairperson of the Committee on Ordinance. Item number 7 is referred to his committee for proper evaluation and proper disposition. Madam Floor Leader,
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Item number 8, letter dated August 18, 2023 from Ms. Shirley T. Gabutin, RSW, PSWD Officer, on her comment, Memorandum of Agreement with the Department of Social Welfare and Development for the implementation of the Kilos Unlad. For information.
item number
8.
8 is the letter from our Provincial Social Welfare Development Officer, Ma'am Shirley Gabutin, on the pending matter on the request of the Honorable Governor for an authority to sign the Kilos Unlad for Peace Social Case Management Strategy on the issue of the implication of one of the provisions which states that the provincial government shall enact legislations on the statement on number 1 paragraph on the responsibilities of the provincial local government unit, where the local government has the responsibility to enact legislations. And based on this letter, that means that particular provision means that it will be based on the case management result and shall be recommended by the Provincial Advisory Committee and the Provincial Social Welfare and Development Office. Meaning to say that the meaning or the underlying explanation on our responsibility to enact legislations is in the purview of a legislative support, that we can only enact legislation pursuant to that MOA upon the recommendation by the Provincial Advisory Committee and the Provincial Social Welfare Development Office. And indeed, that is a legislative support to be given by the provincial government through the Sanggunian. Is that correct, Madam? Your microphone, ma'am.
The content of the reply letter of our PSWD.
But as for the modification of that paragraph as reflected in the MOA, they
Acco-
may not be able, yes, ma'am?
According to her, upon consultation with the regional office, they cannot change the contents of the MOA.
They cannot change the MOA,
The content
contents
of the MOA. Specifically on section 2.2, letter number 1, provision.
Because that is, what's the reason that that is uniform all throughout?
Yes, Honorable Presiding Officer. But
Or shall we invite? Is this of urgent? This is of urgent concern? Or shall we invite somebody from the regional office?
much better. Much better suggestion from the Honorable Presiding
And we will
Officer.
see. They cannot just simply say, that is already the format. We cannot do anything about that.
Despite the query by the PSWD,
Despite the query provided by the PSWDO. So since this is to be executed by our governor in the DSWD Regional Office 6, at the very least, their representative has to explain.
Thank you. For this committee will be subjecting this legislative measure for another committee hearing.
And we will request somebody from the regional office.
Thank you for suggestion, and that the committee will take it as
Thank you,
such.
ma'am. Let's proceed now to the next item.
For the
Madam Floor Leader.
For the next item, item number 9, letter dated 16th of August 2023 from Attorney Jesnareth Tapia, CPA Executive Assistant 4, endorsing the memorandum from the Local Government Academy dated August 8, 2023, regarding the reopening of the NEA online course on disaster risk reduction and management, DRRM, in the public sector.
This is for the
For
information of
information.
the August body. Next item, Your Honor.
Item number 10, letter dated August 18, 2023 from Governor J.C. Raman A. Nava, MD, endorsing to the Honorable Sangguniang Panlalawigan members for an urgent legislative action, the resolution of the Hospital Management Board, resolution number 11, series of 2023, a resolution approving the proposed increase in the contract rate of nurses and medical technologists at Dr. Catalino Gallego Nava Provincial Hospital based on the length of employment.
Referred to the Chairperson, Committee on Health.
Referred to the Chairperson, Committee on Health.
In the absence of the Chairperson, we have the Vice Chairperson, the Honorable Dr. Cecil Gumarin.
With this endorsement,
This is requiring the approval of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan. The resolution number 11 of the Hospital Management Board. This has to be approved should we decide to by the Sangguniang Panlalawigan. Your Honor.
resolution number 11, series 2023, from the Hospital Management Board, it stipulates here that for nurses with the starting salary of nurses is 18,000. After 2 years, there will be an increase of 20,400.
400.
After on the third year, 21,600, and after 5 years, 25,200.
pesos.
For the medical technologists, the starting salary is 18,000. After 3 years, it will be increased to 20,400.
These are all contractual, for
contractual contract rates of nurses and
contract
medical
rates
technicians.
of nurses.
But for those who were employed as contractual at Don Catalino Gallego Nava Provincial Hospital for more than 5 years, the matrix will be from the current salary of 18,000. There will be an monthly increase of to 21,600 monthly, and upon renewal next year, it will be 25,200.
In other words, for those who have been already with the hospital, Dr. Catalino Gallego Nava Provincial Hospital, and her or his current salary is 18,000 pesos, this will now be increased to 21,600 pesos. For those of them who have been in the hospital for more than 5 years. Now, upon renewal next year, automatically, it will be 25,200 pesos. Any comment, the Honorable Vilches?
Mr. Presiding Officer, I would like to be clarified with the provision provided further that the said increase shall only be applicable to those nurses and medical technologists who rendered continuous service from the time
Of
of
hire.
hire. I want to be clarified with this.
Madam Chair, meaning to say if you have been hired, let us say in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and you stop working, and you are again to be engaged, then we will no longer factor in those 5 years of services. So it must be continuous from the time of this. So the reckoning of the number of years must be continuous. You cannot say that, I have been here in 2015, only that I quit in 2020. Therefore, if I come back, those years, 5 years must be factored in so that I will now be increased to 25,000 pesos. Is that also the thinking of the vice chair of the Committee on Health?
I am not one of those present when they decided on this on the board. So I'm not sure. But there is no such word as continuous 5 years of service.
There's who rendered continuous service from the time of hire. Provided further that the said increase shall only be applicable to those nurses and medical who rendered continuous service. Remember that the increase shall be dependent on the number of years. Correct?
Yes.
So they emphasize that it must be continuous.
So,
Number of years will complement or will rely or depend. The increase will rely or depend on the number of years of your service. Now you have been hired in the hospital in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 20. You quit. Now you came back. The question is, can you say that you are now entitled to 25,000 pesos just because you were hired in 2015 up to 2020, but you quit? Or let's say 2015 to 2018, then you came back, and you said, under the schedule, I should be compensated 21,600 because I came back now, plus my services in 2015, 16, 17, 18, plus my services now, I'm going back. So my schedule of salary now would be that of, after 3 years, 21,600.
Mr. Presiding Officer, I guess with the inclusion of the second to the last paragraph provided further that the said increase shall only be applicable to those nurses and medical technologists who rendered continuous service.
from
So
the
I guess
time
that
of
will not
hire.
be counted.
Correct. That will not be counted. Meaning from the time of hire, continuous, from the time I hire you now for the renewal, how many years have you been continuously with the provincial government? So I was hired sometime in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. So I am already now 4 years. But I was also hired in 2015, 2016, 2017, 20. Can it be counted? No, it cannot be counted. Because the provision says it must be continuous. And from the time of hiring. So at the time that I will increase your salary, we will count the years you are with the provincial government continuously. Forget about the services you rendered previously, and then you quit with the provincial government. Only continuous.
Mr. Presiding Officer,
Yes, sir.
this is related to the contract workers. Contract workers. Example, lately we have encountered that there was a delay in the submission of the documents here in the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, and there was a delay also on our part to provide the authority to the Honorable Governor. More or less 15 days, there was a delay of 15 days, 7 days. Will it be considered continuous?
The delay only happens, Your Honor, at the start of the engagement. But if you are up for renewal, if it will take effect January 1, by December, we expect the request of the governor for the renewal. We cannot, you cannot expect that your contract will end December 31 and it's only in January 5 that the governor will ask for
So it will be considered continuous.
which one, Your Honor?
If ever there is a gap of 7 days or 5 days, it will be considered
The
continuous.
practice now, Your Honor, is that all the contracts will terminate by December 30. So first week or second week of December, we expect that there are now requests from the governor renewing the contract so that by January 1, 1201, we will hit the ground running. Their new contracts will take effect because the governor has asked for the renewal of their contracts as early as second week or third week of December, Your Honor. But what happens now if there is an honest mistake? The request was mislooked.
You have encountered that previously, Mr. Presiding Officer.
It was mislooked. It was not included, but there was an honest mistake, excusable negligence. Then, since this is a hospital institution, we always give the necessary accommodation, just like what we did last time. Only upon showing that this is an honest mistake, an excusable negligence, because we cannot compromise. It would be unfair at the height of injustice if, because of the negligence of one person, then that the contractee has already started January 1, January 2, but only to realize that the documents were not included in the request. So we extend the accommodation.
So it will be considered as
It will be considered as continuous
service.
Correct, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Always welcome, Your Honor.
Mr. Presiding Officer,
Yes.
this may also be a lesson to those contractees who are aspiring to have their contracts renewed para nga temprano pa ma-process nila ang ila papeles. Hindi na sila magdili-dali.
Your Honor, it is the lookout of the executive and the hospital, actually, to have these papers, and that's why we are giving so much emphasis and kind reminders, gentle reminders to the hospital to, as much as possible, process these documents, contracts expediently, so that by December, all contracts that are to be renewed would be now acted by the provincial, by the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, Your Honor.
If there are no other questions or queries, can I have my
Honorable
motion?
Edam, do you have what's the pleasure now of the sponsor?
I move to pass a resolution approving the proposed increase in the contract rates of the nurses and medical.
The resolution. Approving
I-
the resolution.
Approving resolution.
Number 11.
Approving resolution number 11, series of 2023, entitled Resolution Approving the Proposed Increase in the Contract Rates of the Nurses and Medical Technologists at the Dr. Catalino Gallego Nava Provincial Hospital based on their length of employment. So move.
There's no motion to approve resolution number 11, series of 2023 of the Hospital Management Board entitled A Resolution Approving the Proposed Increase in the Contract Rates of the Nurses and Medical Technologists at the Dr. Catalino Gallego Nava Provincial Hospital based on their length of employment. Is there any second to the motion? All members have seconded. The motion is approved. Madam Floor Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Presiding Officer. Item number 11, electronic email dated August 18, 2023 from the Provincial Legal Office forwarding the revised contract with Gimelco for information.
This is for information of the August body. Now, Madam Floor Leader, I can now see the presence of representative from the Provincial Budget Office, Ma'am Gaming. Ma'am Felisa Sigubre. Good afternoon, ma'am. Please take your seat. Good afternoon, ma'am. Mr. Chair, Committee on Rules, can we suspend the...
Mr. Presiding Officer, I move to suspend the House rules to accommodate our resource person. Mr.
There's no
Presiding.
motion to suspend our internal rules to accommodate our resource person, Ma'am Felisa Sigubre. To the Chairman, Committee on Appropriations.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. the clarification, Ma'am Felisa, is the request for the realignment for the provincial health office is the source of fund to for the proposed expenditure. The question is like for example is the fuel and lubricant expenses, because there is two amount. Ma'am Pilesa is 100 and other 20,000, 100,000 and 20,000. So supposed to be the clarification is the total of the fuel and oil lubricant. Can
Correct.
you?
In other words, Ma'am Felisa, for fuel and oil lubricant expenses, how much is to be augmented?
According to the PHO, you will get their they will
What is the amount that will augment the fuel, oil, lubricants expenses?
but 120,000 you will get from medical, dental, and laboratory supplies expense and safe motherhood program. It will be lumped.
It will be lumped, right?
Yes.
For electricity expenses, ma'am, how much will we augment this? How much will we augment to electricity expenses?
You will augment it from 6 account guys. You will get
No, I'm just only asking for the amount, ma'am. We do not care. It is quite clearly reflected that this would be the source of the items. But what we're asking is that for electricity expenses, how much is to be augmented?
We're not able-
Because this will not be reflected in the appropriation ordinance. What is to be reflected is only the item to be augmented and the amount that will augment
it will be a total amount of 220,000
for.
for the electricity expenses.
So you want us to still compute this one? You want or you will just make this again next time easier for Sangguniang Panlalawigan?
But
How did you come up with the 200,000 plus?
we will add from prevention up to health emergency response.
Right. But what will be reflected in the appropriation ordinance is not this itemized amount. It should be the total amount. What item to be augmented and how much is to augment the amount. So for electricity expenses, how much will we augment?
Total of 220,000.
Where can we find that 220,000?
I add.
You add it, but in the request, can we find it? More particularly that of Ma'am Jean Patanindagat?
Okay. Supposedly there will be a subtotal.
Or you want that the Sangguniang Panlalawigan shall be the one to compute and have this reflected?
Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Presiding Officer. Actually, the request of Provincial Health Office, there is already a subtotal in every category, Mr. Presiding Officer.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Yes.
But we are not bound by the request of the PHO because as far as we are concerned, we are only bound by the request of the Honorable Governor. Because the department has no personality to directly request from us any legislative measure. We only act according to the request for legislation by the Honorable Governor. The problem here is that even the budget office did not reflect the subtotal. The Honorable Vilches is recognized.
But thank you, Mr. Presiding. Mr. Presiding Officer, if we try to look into the supporting documents, Mr. Presiding Officer, the request of Dr. Catril Inaba to the Honorable Governor, attention, the Executive Assistant for Attorney Tapia, it has a subtotal, Mr.
Correct.
Presiding Officer.
Right.
But I
That
was so
is-
surprised that,
The budget office did not reflect.
yes.
Yes.
And
How
it's,
sure are we that the
and it's very
computation-
hard for us to understand, Mr. Presiding
Correct.
Officer. Could we
Correct.
do that could we have at least total the amount?
Correct.
Clearer
In other words, by deviating, the provincial health office provided you with the correct format, but the provincial budget office deviated from it. Is the format of the provincial health office incorrect, not correct? So much so that you have to deviate from the format of the provincial health office, Ma'am Felisa? Is the provincial health office, did the provincial health office adopt a wrong format?
This is correct.
This is correct. So there's no good reason for the provincial budget office to deviate. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes.
In fact, the format of the provincial health office is something that would make our job easier. Correct, ma'am? Because, in particular, it immediately reflects that for electricity expenses, the amount that we will be augmenting is in the amount of 220,000 pesos. So, the provincial health office format is correct. No further for Ms. Sigobre. Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Presiding Officer. Next time to address this to the provincial budget office that the request actually in fairness of the provincial government, the local chief executive, he only followed the pro forma of your budget office, Mr. Presiding Officer, but there is no itemize, the total itemize of the subtotal in every category.
Mm.
So next time, you must also follow the request of the provincial health office. No? So kay
To have, ma'am, a standardized form.
yes,
Because this is the first time in my almost 10 years in the Sangguniang Panlalawigan that the format was not in accordance with what I expected. The Honorable Edang is recognized.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the same is observation as yours because we've been receiving a lot of
Yeah.
requests already for realignment, and the format are not this what's been given to us. I would just don't know if there are different person making the request or encoding the request, no? Because but then I think if the format are the same, it should be followed.
Yeah.
So
As the saying goes, if ain't broke, don't fix. Meaning to say, if it is the correct one, let's not change it. That would be now, you know, this is already our panabor for the past how many years. Now all of a sudden there's a change. Then this really confuses us, Ma'am Felisa. I hope you understand our
Yes,
position.
President. I will relay it to Ma'am Chen.
Yes, ma'am. Because we are trying to be very conscious also of some technicalities, even only in the format.
Yes.
in addition, Mr. Presiding Officer, the format that you forward to the provincial governor is there is no
Correct. Subtotal.
AIP code,
AIP
Madam.
code.
Yes, because as we agreed before, all the appropriation ordinance must be in the IIP code.
In other words, the one that was forwarded by the provincial of office is more of a compliant,
Yes.
more compliant to the standard. Is that correct, Mr. Chair? Because the request
Yes.
of PHO has its own account code,
Yes.
the account title,
This-
the
Subtotal.
amount, and then the subtotal, so on and so forth, in the grand total. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Any further for Ma'am Felisa? If there's none, ma'am, thank you very much for your presence.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing your time with us. Thank you, ma'am. You are now excused. Mr. Chair, what's your pleasure?
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Can we provide snacks for Ma'am Felisa? Ma'am Gaming? Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. As this item for the request of the local chief executive for the urgent legislative action for the realignment fund. I move to pass the appropriation ordinance for the realignment of the provincial health office from source of fund drugs and medicine 200,000, medical, dental, and laboratory supplies 100,000, safe motherhood program 20,000, family planning program 50,000, prevention and control of emerging and re-emerging infectious disease 34,250 pesos, prevention and control of vector-borne diseases 27,500, pulmonary tuberculosis prevention and control 40,400, lifestyle-related diseases prevention and control 66,250, drugs and medicine 41,600, health emergency response 10,000, rabies prevention and control 3,750, Smile Guimaras 5,000, operation of drinking water laboratory 5,000, health advocacy and promotion 6,250, total of 610,000. To be realigned, travel and expenses 200,000, fuel, oil, and lubricant expenses 120,000. The water expenses 50,000, electricity expenses 220,000, other maintenance and operating expenses 20,000. The total of 610,000. So move, Mr. Presiding Officer.
There's no motion for the passage of an appropriation ordinance realigning funds at the Provincial Health Office. Source of fund, drugs and medicines, 200,000, medical dental laboratory, 100,000, family planning, prevention control, pulmonary tuberculosis, lifestyle-related disease, drugs and medicines, health emergency response, rabies prevention control, Smile Guimaras, operating of the drinking water laboratory, health advocacy program, total 610,000 pesos. 2, fuel, oil, and lubricants expenses, 120,000 pesos. Traveling expenses, 200,000 pesos. Fuel, oil, lubricant expenses, 120,000 pesos. Water expenses, 50,000 pesos. Electricity expenses, 220,000 pesos. Other MOOE, 20,000 pesos, total of 610,000 pesos. Is there any second to the motion? All members have seconded. The motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Madam Floor Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Presiding Officer. Going to committee reports, we don't have any committee report.
Report.
For the calendar business, for the unfinished business, we have none. For the business of the day, we also have none. For the unassigned business, municipal matters and provincial matters, we don't have. For announcements and other matters,
Announcements and other matters. The Honorable Luben Vilches. Gentleman from Sibunag.
Mr. Presiding Officer, as what stated earlier by the floor leader, that our office received communication from the Provincial Legal Office with regards to the revised contract between the provincial government and GIMELCO, Mr. Presiding Officer. And also, Mr. Presiding Officer, our office also received this revised contract that was reported last regular session. I manifested that this request could not be acted upon since the Provincial Legal Office and the Office of the Executive withdrew the said contract, Mr. Presiding Officer. During the committee hearing, there was some recommendations and clarifications. And today we have the revised contract, Mr. Presiding Officer. And it was incorporated herein are some of our recommendations during the committee hearing, Mr. Presiding Officer. Mr. Presiding Officer, this contract is between the provincial government and the GEMELCO. Before it was the contract between Isla de Guimaras, Mr. Presiding Officer. Now it is between the provincial government of Guimaras and GEMELCO. So, and Mr. Presiding Officer, it was stipulated here in the contract, Mr. Presiding Officer, that Isla de Guimaras, a native chicken production and marketing enterprise, is a sub project by the Department of Agriculture on its rural agri-fishery enterprise and productivity enhancement and enterprise development, and also supported by the Philippine Rural Development Project, Mr. Presiding Officer. And also, Mr. Presiding Officer, the investments cost is roughly 19 million plus, and the equity or cost sharing responsibility of the provincial government is 20%, Mr. Presiding Officer. That was incorporated, Mr. Presiding Officer, in the contract itself, Mr. Presiding Officer. Since, Mr. Presiding Officer, there are no more questions and clarifications with regards to this contract, Mr. Presiding Officer, I move for an authority for a resolution providing authority to the Honorable Governor to sign for, in behalf of the provincial government of Guimaras, the contract for exclusive use of own distribution transformer between Guimaras Electric Cooperative and the provincial government of Guimaras. So move, Mr. Presiding Officer.
There is no motion. There's a motion to authorize the Honorable Governor to sign the contract for exclusive use of own distribution transformer between Guimaras Electric Cooperative and Provincial Government of Guimaras, under the stipulations reflected in the draft and revised contract for exclusive use of own distribution transformer between Guimaras Electric Cooperative and Provincial Government of Guimaras, provided to the honorable members. Is there any second to the motion? Seconded by Honorable Araneta, Honorable Gavilenio, Honorable Habani, Honorable Tsunado, Honorable Edang, Honorable Gaho, Honorable Malones, Honorable Gadnan. Is there any question? Honorable Gumarin? You're joining those. All members have seconded. The motion is approved. Madam Floor Leader.
As we are now, since Honorable Presiding Officer, we don't have any other matters to tackle. I move for the adjournment of our regular session. So move.
There's no motion to adjourn. Before we adjourn, I would like to thank all of you for your cooperation and presence in this afternoon's regular session. We have to move our regular session from the usual 9:30 to 1:30 because, as we all know, yesterday is a holiday. So just to be considerate to the secretariat, to the staff, to our dearly beloved secretary who is yet to prepare the minutes. So that's a consideration. So we will just make it a policy that if Monday are we going to make that as a policy, Honorable Vilches? Because I've heard you making some clamors just earlier before we started that this is supposed to be your siesta. That 1:30 schedule after your lunch, siesta,
Mr. Representative Officer, I could make some sacrifices for the sake of the group.
for the sake of the Sangguniang
Sangguniang.
Panlalawigan. So can we make it as a policy as the chairman of the rules
It could be, Mr.
that
President Officer.
should Monday be declared as a holiday, then we will have to move the scheduled session from 9:30 to 1:30 in the afternoon. Only if that Monday is declared as holiday, non-working. No work. Is that okay, all right with the August body? Can I hear your, so that I don't, just an automatic, no need to, remind everyone, but of course we will be getting out, we'll be coming up with some advisory, but as a matter of policy, Honorable Chunado, can I hear you on that matter? Is that all right with you, Your Honor? As the former three-termer governor.
Yes, Honorable Vice Governor.
I do
It's
agree.
all right.
I really accepted your opinion.
Thank you, Your Honor. How about Honorable Gavilenio?
Thank you, Mr. Yes, Mr. Presiding Officer, I agree with the recommendation of the majority, Mr. Presiding Officer, that we moved our session on
1:30.
Tuesday
1:30.
afternoon at 1:30 if the Monday is holiday, Mr. Presiding Officer.
By the way, your barong is very good. Mr. Honorable Gavilenio. Any more comment?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
and this will be
Madam
practiced
Leader.
on next Monday.
Next
since
Monday
it's a
is
holiday.
also August. Next Monday is also a holiday. So it's August 28. So by
Automatic.
August 29, we will have it at 1:30. Any comment to that, Mr. Honorable Jimmy Gaho? All right. Good. Honorable Malones. Honorable Gadnanan. Honorable Habanya. Honorable Edang. Honorable Doc Alex.
Yes, Mr. Presiding Officer, that is amenable agreement, Mr. President, because there is a time to prepare the agenda
Correct.
sometimes.
The time also for our secretariat. I wish to inform everyone that as per my conference with the manager of Guimaras Broadcasting Services, effective today, we have with us the presence of Sir Bonbon Gandisila. Every regular session or special session, our session would be covered live and will be shown at Guimaras Broadcasting Services on their official Facebook. So this will gonna be live. So be careful with your remarks. So that we will be, this is an opportunity to show to our people that Sangguniang Panlalawigan is indeed in motion. But we will again ask you, Sir Bonbon, to situate yourself somewhere here so that you will have a good next time, a good focus on the handsome face of our chairperson committee on rules, the gentleman from Cebu. Real time. Real time. Nothing to worry, Mr. Chair. Just like just like your manifestation now, that can also be seen now in Sabang. Yes, in Sibunag. Madam Floor Leader. For off the record, we will avoid having placed it off the record. We will just cross the bridge when we get there. Yes. If it's in the manner, it's in the form of an executive session, then everyone has to step out. If the presiding officer calls for an executive session, then everyone has to step out, except of course the secretary. There's now a motion to adjourn. Is there any objection? Hearing none. The 58th regular session of the 10th Sangguniang Panlalawigan is now adjourned. Thank you very much for your cooperation, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, everyone. Kita mo ka.
This is a Blog Time program. The views and opinion of the speakers do not reflect the position of the station.
10th Sangguniang Panlalawigan in motion. 10th Sangguniang Panlalawigan